welcome to About You. I'm Connie Hogan. Well, as we always like to say, it's much nicer to interview a good friend. And in the spirit of transparency, my guest today is actually a mutual friend of another great friend of mine in GM. So among the three of us ladies, we have a lot of years with General Motors. Rosemary Davis Allen has embarked on a fabulous career after her distinguished career with GM. She's an ordained minister who's traveled the world as a missionary, sharing inspirational messages across the world and here in Detroit. She's done so much, especially during the pandemic, to bring hope and health to a lot of people. And she's here to talk about these issues, as well as a group that she has called Women Supporting Women, which is so relevant to the show. Rosemary, welcome.
Thank you, Connie. I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am honored. I am humbled by this. Thank you.
I know our other mutual friend, Mary, was here last year, and we just had a great interview.
Yes.
She's published at least one book now, Mary Seegers, and
more
than one book.
Oh,
many books.
Probably at least 5.
Oh my gosh.
I was just recently at her latest book launch.
Oh my gosh.
It's Your Time to Shine.
She is she's almost like our version of Joel Osteen, or whatever his name is.
She really is.
Osteen, yes.
And she brings people together. And she doesn't mind sharing, and that's what I love about her. She's definitely a mentor.
She's a mentor for women, which we need.
Yes.
Now, Rosemary, let's go back to way back, as I was saying. All of us, I know you were with GM for a long, like over 30, like almost 40 years?
Almost 40 years,
oh, wow.
Yes.
So where did you go to college? Where did you start in GM and all that?
Yes, I started at GM as a high school co-op.
Okay.
GM actually came into my high school and plucked me out of there and took me to my first GM role at Chevy Detroit Gear and Axle, 1840 Holbrook. I will never forget that. That was in 1971.
That's so funny.
And they were really trying to do their due diligence to integrate their non-automotive departments and bring in more people of color into their secretarial pools.
Okay.
And as just a young person, I think I was maybe 16, they were able to get me to come there. And I was such a great typist and a great stenographer.
I bet you
and
were.
So that's how I got plugged in, and the rest is history until I retired.
That's kind of how I was, except I was at Notre Dame, and mine was a little bit more of a bumpy ride because I was in finance, and then I was telling on the previous interview we were saying I went into the lobbying arena and the foundation, which was wonderful. But still, I was with GM for over 30 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So between us and Mary, we've got 100 years.
I was going to say we have about 100, over 100 years, and we still look good.
That's right.
Let me tell you, we still look good.
Right.
Yeah, we still look good.
You are so right. And they treated us good, but we treated them good too.
Absolutely.
Right? We brought a lot to that party.
Absolutely. They took care of us, but we took care of them.
Well, we worked hard, and I don't want to sound like an old person, but we did have so much fun back then.
We did.
And even they can say what they want about the finance staff in GM, but GM was they really were great leaders, great mentors, and I think, in some ways things were just calmer than they are now.
Absolutely, and I feel that they were great mentors then, and look at us now, and look at the number of people we have helped along the way.
I know.
So thank you, GM.
It's amazing.
You're still taking care of me, but I'm still talking good about you.
That's awesome. So you were at the Chevrolet, was it Chevy Gear and Axle?
Yes,
a lot of people back then.
Yeah, it was Chevy Gear and Axle. The building, the original look still stands. And I find myself driving over there just to reminisce. It's now American Axle and Manufacturing now.
Now, which street is that?
On Holbrook.
On Holbrook,
1840 Holbrook. It's right off of 75 and I think Kniff.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's
right
near
there.
the old GM building, because I worked a lot at the Renson, but also at the old GM building.
Okay,
That's where I started.
Yes, and I did some work. I did work there at the GM building, and then behind the building at Argonaut Bill, and behind that, Photograph It.
Oh my goodness.
And then to the Tech Center, then out to Troy's, then out to Pontiac Center Point. I have gone the gamut
Oh
for
my
General
gosh,
Motors.
that's
why I
amazing.
said they were good to me, but I was better to them.
Now that we're talking about it,
right.
you really
I'm
review. Oh my gosh.
Wherever they said, it was like, yes, Jesus, I'll go. Yes, GM, I'll go. Send me. And I did.
It was a lot. But there was a lot of movement. You think about it, if it was in the early 70s and mid-70s, there was so much changing in the auto industry. Because that's really when, I mean, because like mine was like 1980, but the, you know, the foreign companies, the Toyota, the T word, and Honda, and then we're coming in and really, you know, forcing the U.S. Big Three to get serious.
To get serious.
And you and I and people of our age range really came through that time frame.
Right.
Where, you know, you didn't realize how that competition was going to be. And I didn't even think looking forward to when, like I said, when I was in the lobbying area, I wasn't sure we were going to survive it.
Absolutely.
When all the different emission standards and fuel economy standards and everything was happening.
Right. It came and I don't think we really thought it was going to be as serious because we were number one around the world, around the globe. And who are these other folk coming in
those
thinking
little
they're
cars?
going to...
I won't even say the word.
Yes,
those X little cars.
Yes. I'm not saying the word either, and I have said I'll never buy one. Yeah, I said, oh, well, we don't have to worry. But while we were asleep,
that was the whole thing.
At the wheel.
That was the whole thing, yeah.
They came right on in. It reminds me of that fable, The Tortoise and the Hare.
That's right.
That tortoise had a good lead, and he saw, the hare had a good lead.
Right.
And the tortoise was taking his time saying, I'm not worrying about anything. And so the hare said, oh, he's way back, I'm going to take a nap.
Right.
And when he woke up, he could not catch the finish line.
That's exactly right.
And so that sort of kind of got us. We're still trying to dig out of that. We are still trying to. So we had wonderful years with GM, but then we had some of those years that caused us pause, especially in 2019 when GM had the big B word bankruptcy. So I was just really blessed that we were able to live through that. And the folk that are there now, I don't think they even have a clue as to what we went through. And I felt, were a part of that group of individuals that really kept GM where they were so that they wouldn't totally sink. It was us.
That's right. Now, don't get me all riled up. Right.
Yes.
So on that note, that is so true. So let's switch over to the ministry part, because we are good girls.
Oh yeah, we are good girls.
Now I want to tell you how you got into being an ordained minister. That's got to be so interesting.
Well, you know, I believe while I was in my mother's womb that God had already called me to be what I am today. And I really have been doing ministry work. I remember even as a young girl going to church. My mom was extremely religious. She wanted to make sure that we were at church, and we were at church on Sunday. That was an all-day event. She said, it's God's day. So I said, well, how are we going to do our homework? Oh, you're going to take it with you. So we would go to church in the morning, and we would get home late at night. That's just the way it was. It was God's day. And so my mom and my dad, but especially my mom, she just put it down in us that we were going to acknowledge the Lord for who He was and who He is. And so after a while, you know, it just gets in you. So all my life I've been doing ministry. I have been really doing ministry, being the backbone of churches, of bishops, whatever. And finally, during the prior to the pandemic, my pastor, he was moving on to even greater works. He said, I need to get you ordained. He said, you've been doing the work all these years, and we should have done it. I don't know if sometimes, you know, when it's a woman, I don't want to say because it's a woman, but so I was honored. I said, well, sure. I was already doing the work, so they gave me the title. And during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, and the churches were shut down.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, the churches were shut down all over the world. Even the Pope couldn't have Easter service. So you know, that was
make do,
right? So then when I said, God shut us out to shut us in, to have us reflect on what's the real deal. So He said, you are an ordained minister. you've been really doing all this good work. So what are you going to do now that you can't go to the church building? So we had to become creative. We started doing ministries from our homes. We started doing ministries on Zoom. We started doing ministries from the living room and did live streaming because you really couldn't go into church. I don't have a church building, not looking for a church building, because God told me during the pandemic that the church is not a building, the church is in you. So when folk are with me, they say, oh, Minister Rosemary, I want to be at your church. Where's your church? I said, wherever you are, that's where the church is. So I have a virtual building. I have a building without walls. There's no walls attached. So I go into the communities. I do what Jesus did. He didn't say, bring the people to me in the palace and place them at my feet. He went amongst the people and he dined with them. He healed them. You never saw anybody dead when Jesus was around. They didn't know about funerals because he would raise them up. So
there you go. There you go.
Not that I'm going to raise anybody up, but I'm taking my ministry from that aspect. And so we do outreach and we reach out.
Now, were you in Africa or Haiti?
Absolutely,
okay,
yes.
Tell us about, that's what's so fascinating.
Yes. So I actually, was very, very brave. I went with the group to Haiti more than once. So we started a schoolhouse there. And unfortunately, every time we did the work, there was a earthquake.
I was going to say, was it hurricanes or earthquakes?
Earthquake.
All of it, yeah. They're so
our building, our building would be torn down again. So we mobilize again, and we go back to Haiti. Haiti is one of the poorest places.
It is, because I knew some other people who were kind of going on what would you call missions. You know, and it's just because it was the worst. I mean, I think it's way worse than Africa, right?
It is.
Isn't it?
It's way worse. But Africa is bad too. But Haiti is really bad. Even when you land at Port-au-Prince, and you know on the other side of the island is the tourist part. That's the Dominican Republic.
Right.
You don't ever hear anybody say, where are you going on vacation? To Haiti.
Right.
You just don't hear that.
Going to ministry.
Right. And when I say I'm doing ministry, I don't even call that a vacation. That is a mission trip.
My gosh.
And when you land and you see nothing but row houses, and most of them are made out of cardboard, you see full families living in 4x4s. It's just amazing. But and they don't speak English, and you don't speak their language because some of them speak Creole. And the other ones will speak French. But Creole is like the slang language that they prefer to use. The people in Dominican Republic, I understand, they speak more of the French. And so you have to have a translator, and you just pray that translator is translating what you are actually saying and not something that they would prefer that you say. So that was quite an experience. And then after doing that, I went to Nairobi, Kenya. And I plan on going back there next year. I wanted to wait a little while. I just talked with one of the bishops there just a couple of weeks ago. He was in town, so we had a chance to get together and chat about, he said, the people need you, and we want you to come back. When are you coming back?
I think I love Kenya, though, because that's animals. I would never come home.
It's really beautiful. Where I stayed was beautiful. In Haiti, where I stayed, not so much. But in Kenya, we stayed with a group of kings and queens, so it was really lovely. It was very lovely. They treated us really well. They really took good care of us. But then we visited the areas where some of the tribes are. Really, really bad. Even the way some of the people look I mean, it's just, it was just really bad.
Unnerving. I mean, you just hear the stories sometimes. Some of the bad stories and good stories. Is that what we're talking?
Right. So we were able to fill up their nursery, because lots of the girls have babies. Not that they want to have them, but a lot of them are raped and they have no other resources. So we filled up a lot of the areas with baby stuff. They didn't even have real brooms. We found a store with brooms and baby strollers. They didn't have any of that stuff. They had twigs they had made brooms out of to clean the areas. We brought them diapers. So we did a lot of good work. I led a lot of the services myself with the ministry. I sing, and so God is just amazing. He's anointed my voice. So I did a lot of the singing, a lot of the teaching and preaching series I did. Then went over to the United Kingdoms. Now everybody see the Queen from the balcony, and we waiting for that wave. But if there's a rich part, there's a poor part. So we were able to go to the parts of the city I guess we can say the city, where the folk live that are not well off. Very, very sad, very, very sad. So we were able to help them. We did a lot of the quilting of some of the material where they make their cloths to take to the community to sell, where they make their jewelry. We were able to help buy a lot of their material. We were helped to provide food, and then we spent some time over there by the Queens area because we just wanted to see that too, and do a lot of the visiting where Princess Diana got married, and Big Ben. You know, people talk about Big Ben, so I actually was there at Big Ben. So it's been amazing to be able to go around the world, and there'll be more of that. But I go with the mission conscious, not to be glorified, yet not to be sightseeing. It's mostly mission, and so I do. I feel true missionaries do go globally, but there's work to be done home, locally, and nationally, because when Hurricane Sandy came, it went to Haiti first, then it came to New Jersey and New York. So we went there.
To New York.
Yeah, we went to New York. When Hurricane Katrina, I went to I went there, and we were in that 9 area. I can't even remember exactly.
The lower 9.
The lower 9. We were there. Oh my God.
That had to be, to me, I mean, that's, you know.
And every
I do know New Orleans. It's like, oh my God.
Yes, and every time you saw a yellow ribbon on a house, you knew people had died there.
It was terrible.
And it was terrible. So yes, those are kind of the things. That's what I have a heart for. And my passion is there. It's just people loving people. That's why I love my title, Heart of Hearts.
Right.
Not heart to heart.
Heart of
my heart to your heart, Connie, but heart of hearts. My heart to many hearts.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
In London, so there's a large, like, African community. Is what I guess I didn't. I know that London's so international. It's always been.
Oh yeah.
But it's so in Middle Eastern.
Yeah, it is.
So I guess I didn't realize you're talking Kenyan population in London.
Absolutely, because the folk that I met in London were the folk who I visited when I went to Kenya.
Oh, wow, that is so fascinating.
They happened to be there for the convention that this group had while we were there, and so we connected. I connected with Bishop and Pastor Joel and Grace Kamadi. I connected with them there, and I ended up the following year going to be with them in Kenya, Nairobi, Africa.
Oh my gosh.
And she actually comes on to my prayer teleconference call. Even though she's in Africa, with the technology, the WhatsApp, she's able to come in.
So they have a fair amount in Africa.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I knew that they would have some, but it depends on what part.
Oh yeah, yeah. Where we were at in the United Kingdom, there's a large African population, large Middle Eastern, Middle Eastern, and then the rest of the folk are British.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's very diverse over there. Very diverse, and they seem to get along.
That's an interesting thing. Yeah. The whole world of the United Kingdom, and now they've split off, though, right?
They've split off,
So we could have a whole show
we could have a,
and I don't know enough to really form a policy opinion, but I know that there is a lot of, I guess when I think about it, I think about, you know, the Pakistani or the Middle Eastern and Lebanese, but I hadn't really thought about it being the African population. But that makes sense, though.
Yeah, it does make sense. And from what I observed, just like anywhere else, you know, folk get along, folk don't get along. I mean, it's all over.
But you think about, you know, the colonization, though, from Great Britain of Africa. And the resources, that's a whole long story. But, you know, of the resources of Africa, which I'm sure still goes on. And, but, you know, like Prince Harry and Prince William, they love it. It was Harry's #1 favorite place.
Absolutely.
You know, probably more so now that he's living in California. Yes. To go back, I would imagine. If I were him, I'd be wanting to go back.
I think he does. So I think something might be in the works with them, because family is family, blood is blood, and they are going to be able to
so interesting.
Get
I follow that every day.
Yes, I know. It's very
crazy.
Interesting.
You don't know what to believe.
You don't know what to believe.
Any of it. Yeah. But it's great that you're over there actually seeing things on the ground, as they say, on the ground.
And once the pandemic is at a place where I feel we can go, because there's still lots of work that needs to be done. Well, I will be going.
Okay, when was the last time you were there?
The last time I was there was 2016. 2016 or 2017.
So it's been a while now, yeah, before the pandemic.
It was right before, about a couple of years before the pandemic.
It's so funny how we do that with the pandemic. It's like there was this life before the pandemic, and we've all been so brainwashed.
Yes,
by it.
And I was scheduled to go in 2019, but then we started hearing the reports, because when I go and get the 1 million shots that I have to get before I go,
say, oh my gosh.
the travel doctors, they were already telling us, they said, well, I don't know, they're talking about this coronavirus, something that's going on that came from wherever it came
China,
from, but
whatever.
we need to be careful about traveling if you're going here, here, and here. And I said, oh, okay. I said, we haven't heard anything. They said, no, they haven't really said anything about it, but we need to warn you that this is not a place right now. So just kind of hold off and let's wait. Well, then that's why we've been holding out.
Because I was traveling just to Southwest United States, but I felt like when I was flying, like in late 2019, I thought I might have caught something early on. I don't know that, I never said that, but I had this really weird cough. But it wasn't, I never was tested, and I've never even, you know.
Right.
But I hope it was, because that meant I would have had some antibodies and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
So I might be, and this was the first strain that was in
the first.
California,
Yes.
and it was near, because I was in Arizona, and so I came back and I thought, I wonder when I started hearing about it, and then I didn't hear any more, but it, you know, it passed by me. But you know, luckily I haven't had any testing that was positive.
That's a blessing,
ever,
because
you know.
I, like you, I went traveling. I actually went traveling late in 2019 when we really started hearing about it in November around Thanksgiving. They started talking about it.
They did,
So
yes.
December, that's my birthday month. That's why my name is Merry.
Oh, that's so cute.
I went traveling in the month of December 2019.
That's when it was first starting.
Scary, but I didn't have a mask on, any of that. Nobody was wearing masks. And so when I came back, they were saying, oh, you know, where you just left, they have 2 cases. And when I came back to Michigan, they said, we have 2 cases. And look at it now. So
we didn't think, it was like with us with GM, with those Japanese cars.
Right.
We didn't think it was going to go anywhere, and it kept growing and growing.
Not even close. And then we started getting a little bit nervous, and then it got a little bit scary. When we got the first shutdown, I said, this is very serious. So I said, okay, all right, I'm listening.
Yes,
I am listening now. You got my attention. I am listening. Okay, what'd you say, God? Oh, okay, did I miss that?
Right.
Okay, back up, rewind.
Now, on that note, we were talking earlier about, talk about rewind. You're a precinct delegate for the upcoming election. And we're going to get into the partisan, but just talk about what kind of training you've had to go through. And I know, because everybody's concerned about the integrity of elections.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about your prep, and you're excited about this Michigan primary coming up.
Always excited, especially about voting and the integrity of voting. You know, I have to say personally, my ancestors bled and died to try and vote. So you better believe I'm going to doggone make sure that people know about voting. I am an elected precinct delegate, and I'm on the ballot again this year for the city of Southfield. That's the community in which I serve. And I don't serve the entire community of Southfield as a precinct delegate. It's just the region where I live and several streets beyond me. So the most votes you can get is probably 600, and those are your constituents, not the whole city, because there are other precinct delegates for that part of the city. So in my district, if I get, like I said, 600, I've done well. And I know 2 years ago when the folk voted, I know it just couldn't have been my subdivision, because our subdivision is small. We probably have maybe 60 homes, but I got over maybe 400 or 500 votes. So, and what we do is, our goal is just to educate the voters. We don't tell them who to vote for. We just say, please vote for the candidate of your choice. I don't care who you vote for. I just want you to vote. It's so important to vote, and we will bring literature. I will even have an event at my house for the community. I will invite all of the folk running, not just people who I think I want, but everybody. nonpartisan, partisan, to come and show up. Because it's not fair just to invite one group and not the other.
Absolutely.
That's not how things are done.
Never.
We are transparent. So we open it up to everyone and they all come.
Oh,
they come out,
good.
oh, Rosemary Allen is having it. Oh yeah, we better show up. And they show up and then they talk to the voters. They tell them their platform, not me. I just make the space available. And then I tell them to go door knocking. I want our my constituents to know who they're voting for. And not just only in name recognition, but they need to know a little bit about the background. It's very important. And then on voting day, I used to kind of just stand out and pass out literature or just have a big shirt on, say, please vote for the candidate of your choice. Please vote for the candidate of your choice. I don't care what it is. Just vote, 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 vote. Drive through the neighborhood with my thumb. Don't forget to vote.
Oh,
who needs a ride
to the,
who needs a ride? Hey, yeah, they're not voting for me for nothing. I work for every one of those votes. And on the day of voting, I am a precinct chairperson.
Okay.
So I am the person when you go in to vote that's running that precinct. So I make sure those tabulators are working properly, that everybody's voting ballot gets scanned in, and they see successful, and it says, yes, I voted. We give them their sticker. If there's a problem with something, if somebody voted two sides of the ballot and weren't supposed to, we spoil it, make sure they get a ballot. And we know with what's been going on, that there will be some cases where folk will come in and want to challenge. Well, they have a right to do that.
Right.
They can come in and do that. So we welcome that, just as long as it's not disruptive to the people who do want to just come in and vote. So that's what I do, and I'm there from 5:30 a.m. and I'm home probably by about 2 a.m. after the
so
polls
that's the
close.
Day of the. Now, will that be true on the primary as well, or just the general election?
Both primary. Oh yeah, because the polls are open. Because lots of people vote absentee, but a lot of people like to come in. They like to watch their ballot goes from them marking it to that machine. They want to see that process.
It's kind of fun too, because I have to go over to the Bloomfield office when I leave here, because I won't get into all of it, they screwed it up, because I was supposed to be getting you know, the absentee thing, and I didn't get it in the mail. So somebody, I'm going to take it up with them. I don't know what happened. I can't make accusations, but I'm going to go in anyway. Maybe
this is
I know
a good
I marked
time
it, but I'm going to go physically into my precinct, Bloomfield, one of the ones, and because I like to do it. I just like to go do it, you know,
absolutely,
whatever.
Absolutely.
I hope it's not pouring rain, but it's like, I do like to, but you can't do both. That's the main thing. So it seems like there's controls.
There is controls, because if someone, a lot of times, they will bring their ballot, their absentee ballot in. And if they bring their ballot in, then I call to the clerk's office, because I don't have that control.
You get a provisional ballot.
No, I call the clerk's office, and they will take it out of the main database.
I got it.
And then they say, give her a ballot now, because they have crossed out the ballot that's in there. So the ballot that we gave them on our electronic poll book, we're able to strike through it, and we give them the new ballot number. We plug it into the system, write it on their ballot, and they can go on their application, not their ballot. We write it on their application, and then they can go and vote. And it's easy peasy.
I'm getting a note here that we're running out of time, if you can believe it. But I know we're just getting started on the good political stuff. This was really a good message for me, too.
So I'm excited about that part of what I do.
That, and needless to say, with all your ministry and the wonderful things you've done since GM, I mean, if only all GM people would be as good as we are, right?
Oh, you know? Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't mean to be mean.
Absolutely.
I mean, in the retirement, I should say.
Yes, life
in the retirement. Don't be
there
lazy.
Is,
don't be
absolutely.
tardy. Don't be lazy.
There is life after retirement.
Okay, well, Rosemary Davis Allen, good luck. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
We'll
this
do
was
a follow-up.
Exhilarating. Thank you.
Thanks for watching About You.